Okie dokie, welcome back to another vintage video, and today we're playing a bit of AggroVine. I really like this deck. I always find it really fun. The match is always really close, and it's nice to revisit the old faves every now and then, you know? So the main attraction of AggroVine is null rods and collector roofs, and it's got a quick clock as well. The idea being that we aim to have a turn 1 Bazaar of Baghdad. We activate it and we dump some power across Lizards and Poxwalker's Vengevine Hollow One. And then our turn 2 is going to be playing a multi-mana land, either Gaia's Cradle or Yavimaya Cradle, and this will produce a null rod effect, and then we'll be able to, that will stumble our opponent and we can convert from there. We've also got 5 strip mines to help with that mana denial plan, and a single copy of Dismember. I've foregone the Hex Drinkers because I want to try this guy out, Allosaurus Shepherd. So he's just annoying. My green spells can't be countered. It seems really quite fun. It means our Collector Roof is going to resolve, right, against artifact combo decks. That could be quite good. My Once Upon a Times are going to get through. My Lizards are going to come through a Vexing Bauble, that sort of shit. But post-board, it's really going to help with our Force of Vigors and our Endurances. So that's the rough plan. We're going to hopefully pair into a bunch of artifact decks. We've got 4 Vigors, 2 Besaiju's post-board, 1 Besaiju in the main, and 6 null rod effects. The reason I'm on 3 and 3 here is I want to be able to get a Collector Roof off my Once Upon a Time, so I kind of want to have quite a few of these Collector Roofs. However, all of the artifact combo decks have got 1, if not multiple copies of Talon Gates, and you can't phase out a null rod. So we're trying to split the difference a bit, going with a 3-3 split. Anyway, let's get down some games and see how we do. Okie dokie, round 1, we're up against Doge Miner. We're on the draw. They're usually a Dredge gamer, so I'm going to keep my Wasteland, Bazaar of Baghdad, Besaiju hand. Like, if they're not a Dredge gamer, I've got the null rod. If they are a Dredge gamer, their first 2 Bazaars are dead. And then we've just got to come up with something from there. So there's the Bazaar. They activate Troll Imp Powder. Okay. What do we do? I guess we go Emerald Ruby. And then activate Spinning for a Lizard, but we've just resolved our 2 spells to start with. We miss on further threats, so we'll discard Vengevine, null rod. But we've got the mana here to Besaiju your Bazaar of Baghdad, which allowed us to make a land drop earlier. We've got mono wastelands from here on out. We've got to hope that they don't have a Noxious Revival or a second Bazaar of Baghdad, but they did keep 7. I mean, so did we, but they are the stronger Game 1 Bazaar deck, if that makes sense. They're going to leverage Bazaar of Baghdad much better. So here comes a Narcomoeba revealing a Force of Negation. So they're going to be on a heavy permission list. Yes, second Bazaar is found, which is a good chance that that's like the entirety of the game. They're not activating it though by the looks of things, which is interesting, to say the least. We'll take our draw step. There's a Dismember. So I think I'm going to waste them first. This is going to give us all of the information we need to decide whether a Wasteland or Dismember are better. Or even good, you know? So 2 Icarids, a Creeping Chill, but critically, no prized amalgams there. Oh no, there's 2 prized amalgams at the bottom. Well, that's kind of gross. So that means we're going to take 6 next turn, and then they're going to put 6 more power into play. I don't know how we deal with that. I don't think they've got 3 Bazaars, so I'm just going to come off the Wasteland. So Lizard, Waste. Once Upon a Time or Dismember? What goes? I can't really get anything out of my lands at this point, can I? I think I'm already dead to their graveyard, so I don't want to screw around thinking that another Wasteland's going to do me something. I need to be on the board sort of thing. So I think I'll discard Wasteland, Lizard, Dismember, Lizard. I think that's guaranteed. And then it's just Dismember or Once Upon a Time. Dismember's going to keep me in the game slightly. But Allosaurus Shepherd can make me a lot of mana. Oh, so what about Dismember, Once Upon a Time, Lizard? And then I can play a Wasteland next turn. No, I don't like that. So I'm going to discard Lizard, Wasteland, Dismember. Because I think I need to find a Cradle. To do some sort of conversion. I bring back the vines. Is that even good though? Attack for 8, takes 6. I'm at 11. Takes 7, I'm at 10. You get 2 amalgams into play. But 2 Icarids eats both your dredges and your upkeep. Oh no, you've got a Grave Troll. Maybe the Dismember was good, but losing life points against a deck that's going to burn you for 12 guaranteed is really tough. I mean, I know I'm committing to losing life points here. So Cradle can make my guy a 5/5. Double chill. Double chill. So I'm at 11, going to 5, unless I chump an Icarid, which I don't love doing. Fine, maybe a Cradle's not what I dream of. And then 2 amalgams come into play. And then I'm pretty sure we're kind of close to deceased here. Do I want to cast the Once Upon a Time? Probably. Another Bazaar. Or another Lizard. The Lizard guarantees the Poxwalkers and a blocker. They've got triple Icarid, but only 1 green creature. 1 black creature. So they've actually got double Icarid eating an Icarid, right? So that's 12 damage that we know about. Plus there's 1 chill missing. So that's 15. So how many cards do I need to block? 1, 2. I'm going to take the Lizard to guarantee the Poxwalker and Chump Blocker. And now I'm going to activate my Bazaar because I can also still find a hollow one off of this activation. I find another Lizard, which is somewhat interesting. Do I want both Lizards in play? I guess so, because they can all just get in the way, can't they? So I need to hold back the Lizard that's in play, because then I can hit them for 8. I can block Amalgam, taking Amalgam, Icarid. But then they're not dredging, so I don't know how many Icarids they can bring into play. So maybe I just want to chill out and go slow, right? So I need to actually work this out. Amalgam, I can block 1 Amalgam with a Vengevine. I can chump 1 with a Red Lizard. Then they're bringing back 1 to 2 Icarids. What happens if I just completely wall up here and don't attack? They can dredge 3 and bring back 1 Icarid if they do that. That way they'd have 9 power. I can trade with the 2 amalgams, they can bring them back the following turn. But you're at 25 and I need to kill you at some point in the future. Maybe just the lizard goes in, and I line up these two, I chump block with the other two, and then I untap with Poxwalker's lizard in play. So I think just a little dink for one, and we aim to trade these Vengevines with the amalgams. So our opponent's graveyard is running out of resources here. Gonna hold the cradle. So they get triple Icarid trigger, and if they bring back both the two Icarids they can bring back, then cool. But if they don't, because they want to dredge 3, which they haven't, yeah, they definitely get their amalgams back next turn, but I'll still have blockers. They took they took a dredge step there and they hit triple dredger, which is horrible. I will just bink the lizard in front. I just want to keep my life points high for now. We get another wasteland, which isn't really doing a lot. Which of these do I want to keep, and do I want to play any of them? I can't attack this turn because, well, then I can't attack ever again, can I? So maybe I do have to attack with the 2 vines. Keep a Cradle of Growth in hand again. So 1, 2 Icarids come back and you dredge a Stinkweed Imp. So if I attack like this, I'll be taking 3 off of an Icarid. You trade there, that's fine. Okay, and now I can pass the turn to you. You bring back your Icarids, but I have blockers. Then your amalgams come back. Maybe that attack was too aggressive. So the 2 amalgams trigger. They dredge a Stinkweed Imp. They hit a Narcomoeba and another Icarid and 2 more dredges. That was. I just need them to hit, like, you know, crap permission and stuff like this for a moment. We just needed one of these last 2 dredges to be nonsense cards. So I can take 1 lot and go to 5, but we are flirting with death there, I think. They've only got 1 thing left. I don't have one chill left. Maybe I played this wrong. But I played that turn a couple of turns ago when they only had Shambling Shell as their dredger, in the hope that their dredge was bad, which happens quite a lot, right? You just hit some nonsense cards and nothing happens. I'll cast this first. Collector Oof or Gaia's Cradle. Both nonsense at this stage. We'll take the Cradle. And activate into the world. So Blazing Lizard. How many Icarids? You've got 3. And you can just eat everything if you want to. I get 2 vines back, but I think I need to be aggressive with my vines at this point. I don't think I'm getting anywhere. Poxwalker's is tapped. So if I attack with 3 vines, for example, I would have 3 blockers back. That would be amalgam, and then you'd have the option of bringing back triple Icarid, and I would be dead. So that's not good. So 2 vines means I've got a vine back to block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can produce triple Icarid, and I take 1 in the sky. So 2 vines get in. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe 1 vine. But encouraging them to go for... Oh, they've got 7 cards in hand now, so... I just don't know how to close this game. Triple Icarid is 15. Block, 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 block. Trade with the amalgams, eat an Icarid, die to 2 Icarids. Maybe I attack for... One's just horrendous. Let's just send in 1 Vine. And they chump, okay. That's actually really quite nice for us, the chump, because the worst thing is as I stall the board on the floor like I'm trying to do, and then they just bink twice and then chill me, right? It's really annoying. But making our way through their narcs is actually pretty decent. So they bring back at least 1, they bring back at least 2. They can go for all of it here and then just take a draw step, yeah. Because now they're on 8 cards, so they can just discard the troll to hand size every turn. So it's block, block, and block, I guess. They've got no creatures in their graveyard. They discard a grave troll to hand size. We know they're holding it because they did it earlier. Yep. We will upkeep flip cards. Get a lizard. A bit annoying about the hollow one, but the extra trump blocker is nice. Now, is my game plan just to try and deck them? 1, 2, 3 chills. 1, 2 Narcomoebas. I can't beat the Narcomoebas. So maybe I just send Vengevine in. Or Poxwalkers, because that's easier to get back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lizards. So maybe that's not easier to get back. Attacking and forcing blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will enable... This attack allows me to chump everything next turn as well. If they don't block. And it also means that if they do trade with me, they have to keep eating Icarids. Yeah, so they block here. And now if they eat an Icarid, we're grinding through the Icarids as well. My big fear at the moment is actually just Narcomoebas. I don't know how to beat Narcomoebas. We've only seen 2 of them. Oh, they Noxious a Bazaar. I'm like contractually obliged to Noxious this, right? To misstep this. So like what can they have? They can have 2 Narcs, but they've shown a tendency here to chomp block with Narcs. So maybe I'm just supposed to stay at 5 because we don't know where that chill is. 1, 2, 3 chills. Yeah, I think I have to let this go and just hope that we deck them then. And just like, we've got to keep attacking because of the Narcs. Because they like to chump block with Narc Amoeba. This is really suspect, this play here. But I just don't want to be at 3. They play their Bazaar of Baghdad, and then they dredge everything. And they pass the turn. Oh, so they're going to go for a second main phase 1. So we take a draw step. We find a Vengevine. How much is this? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. None of these cards are good. We'll discard the ones that want to be in the graveyard. We'll hold the misstep a bit longer. And then we'll see if our 4 blockers is good enough. They'll activate now in my second main phase. They hit the final creeping chill, so I am at 2. They haven't hit a Narcomoeba, which means their amalgams are going to be on a delay, but they will have 2 Icarids coming in. I can block both the amalgams, but I have to find block both the Icarids. Well, there's 3 Icarids. I can block all the Icarids. They find a Narcomoeba in their upkeep. This is what I needed, right? This selection here, like Grief, Force of Will, Force of Will, Force of Will, Hollow One, Noxious. That's 6 cards in a row, which did nothing. I kind of needed that Dredge when we had them at just a shambling shell sort of thing. So they've got 3 cards in deck. We need to survive for 3 turns. Mindbreak Traps, 4 negations, 4 wills, okay. No, they've got 2 cards in deck. And we're at 2. And I can't beat this Narcomoeba. So we need to survive this turn. And present lethal on the way back through then. So maybe I've been too conservative this whole time. In come the Icarids. I have to block all of them, right? So let's block with Vine, Hollow One, Lizard. The Poxwalker is easier to get back, but the Poxwalker comes into play tapped. So that's not very good. Opponent's on 25 again after that chill. And they found a Hollow One off of their one draw step. No, their one draw step was a Bazaar, right? Or did they have a non-Bazaar draw step? Well, never mind. The Hollow One is fucked. I think I might have flipped and flopped a bit too much between how I'm winning this game. We take our draw steps, don't we? Before activating. What have they got? 4 Icarids. Or 3 Icarids. 1, 2, triple Icarid food as well. Doesn't look too great. No, we die. Okay. Game 1 against Dredge is always hard. I used 15 minutes? Fucking hell. I get endurances. And I get ravenous traps. And I think I'm going to bring in a couple of vigors. Just in case they have an annoying ley line. Can't imagine this is an Allosaurus Shepherd matchup. Oh, it's certainly not a Norrod matchup, actually. Let's be more realistic with our sideboarding. So I need 4 cards back in. So I can bring in Abysaju over our Forest. And then I just bring back in the Shepherds. And then 1 more Vigor. Is it better to go down or Once Upon a Time in access to gain access to this 3rd Besaju? Probably. What have we got? Ravenous Trap and nothing. Like, I can't put spells on the stack here. So I think I've got to powder this one. There's an argument that you could mulligan, because I don't want to tell them my sideboard strategy. But I think I'd rather just, you know, go harder, get more looks, that sort of thing. So we've got Once Upon a Time, double Lizard, Endurance. We'll keep this. I don't know how to play this. I think I discussed... If I discard the Wasteland... No, I discard one of the Lizards, right? I discard a Lizard. So I want the Wasteland for their Bazaar. I can activate, basically discarding whatever I draw here. Vengevine, Allosaurus Shepherd. Yeah, it's fine. Now, I'm not casting this Once Upon a Time. I know I can, but I'd rather have the green card. So Vengevine, Allosaurus Shepherd, Lizard go into the bin. I could hold the Shepherds and discard the Once Upon a Time, but they're both just there as cards which are green, right? Their text boxes are irrelevant to us at the moment. We get back a Vengevine. This gets a Noxious out of them, which is fine. That means that they are one less Noxious on their Bazaar of Baghdad, right? So pass to the Doge Miner. They have a Bazaar of Baghdad, which is unfortunate but expected. They have a hollow one. What do they discard? Ichrid Thug. Wow. What's it like? And then we'll just wasteland them. Do I want to attack for 4 first? Get your hollow one out of here. It's pretty bad if they then counter my endurance, but they do block. We waste. And we pass. I don't think there's much use in activating here, because I plan on pitching in response to this. We evoke an endurance and we reshuffle your graveyard. Now I will flip because I've got 1 creature spell on the stack, so then one of my 7 remaining lizards will bring back the vine. This is their graveyard on the right. I don't know if that's helpful. That's how I play it when I've got it, but now do I want to activate? Yes, I do. So probably want to activate now as well, because if they're on traps and I do bink my lizard, their trap won't hit my Vengevine. I do hit the lizard, so 2 cards go to the graveyard. Oh no, but I wasted this turn, didn't I? So 3 cards do go to the graveyard, so it's all nonsense. It's all incorrect. Cast a lizard, trigger a Vengevine. Yes, I get a Vengevine into play. And it's your go. They've got no graveyard, they've got no Bazaar, they've got 3 cards in hand. I've got no cards in hand, but I do have 6 power. If they have a second Bazaar, then we probably lose. No Bazaar. Excellent news. We flip cards in our upkeep. Do you have a wasteland? No. We flip cards in our upkeep, just stock up the graveyard. Wasteland Ravenous Trap. I wouldn't have minded drawing that trap, to be honest with you. The trap like kind of shores up the whole game. But, oh. Well, let's find out how true that was. I am bleeding time in these matchups today. I'm not sure what's going on. I'll play that. I'll pump my guy. I'll attack for 8. I mean, they were dead on board anyway. Next turn, so we haven't changed the clock at all. Opponent draws. Well, we changed the clock against top deck Bazaar into hollow one, right? I now beat that. We win the game. Do I want the misstep? Over Once Upon a Time sounds like it could be real. Ravenous Trap, Force of Vigor, Wasteland, no green source, Endurance, right? So 1, 2. I think I keep this. And I'm just looking for a green source or a Bazaar. Your Bazaar's dead. Your graveyard's gone. Your graveyard's gone. Your hollow ones have gone. I think that's acceptable, right? They were on traps, so that's something to bear in mind. They do have Force of Will in their deck. Ichrid Grave Troll Thug. Not in love. Mox Emerald up there as some of our best draws in the deck. It's another trap that's also acceptable. So let's kill your Bazaar. And pass the turn to you. Ichrid triggers. Ichrid happens. They dredge a Grave Troll. They have a second Bazaar of Baghdad. Okay. They just draw cards? No. They did something. Oh, maybe they did just draw cards, because maybe they didn't have any dredges. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't have any dredges. So we take 3. And we'll let this Ichrid die, and then we'll go after their graveyard in some fashion. I think I might lead on endurance. So Ichrid dies. No, Trap's just 1 card, right? But then you've got Force of Will in hand, so maybe I just go Endurance, Pitching Vigor. The timing of this makes literal 0 sense to my opponent, so it maybe reveals my Ravenous Trap, right? The idea here is you Force of Will this, and then I actually just exile everything. But they didn't Force of Will it, so... And this is where my keep kind of gets found out, is that I don't have mana, and I don't have a Bazaar, and I don't have a Wasteland. So I kind of... This is where it gets a bit suspect, is against the second Bazaar, right? Opponent's got 3 cards. They do draw here, which is another reason why actually endurance was bad, because I've lost my vigor. They Wasteland. Well, they have a Wasteland, and they waste... Yeah. They Wasteland my Cradle, and that's absolutely fine by me. And we hit a Powder. So it's your go. 2 traps are going to buy a lot of time, right? But I'm hoping my opponent goes for upkeep activations, because that's going to gradually minimize the number of hollow ones they can produce. I think I don't like how I played. They didn't go for upkeep activation, so they're looking for hollow ones. Oh, another Bazaar. Wow. They found a Dredger this time round. And they activate. They hit the Narc. They discard down to 0 cards. We trap them. The fact that they're on 0 cards makes us very happy, because they now are going to really struggle to ever have permission up, right? So, Strip Mine Shambling Shell. Into nothing. They've got Stinkweed Imp Shell to work with on their draw step. They find a Narc Amoeba and an Ichrid, but that's it. So we're just going to chill out on this trap. They have a Narc, that's it. One thing we need to be careful of is we tucked 12 cards earlier, and I think that 12 cards was enough to win a game. So, especially when I'm doing nothing. So I kind of want to get into those 12 cards. This doesn't actually do much because their Bazaar's good enough as it is. I can take 4 this turn, that's fine. They activate in response to the Ichrid trigger, so I might get a lot more than 4. So Creeping Chill. Creeping Chill. Shambling Shell. This Ichrid, let's have a look at that. 1 Ichrid here, 1 Ichrid here. So this is actually taking 10 at this point, right? Putting me down to 7. And then I have to race a... So maybe I'm supposed to bink this one. You've got 10 cards to work with. But we know that there's 2 Icarids in those 10 cards. It's just, do they have... This is their exile zone. They get a draw step, so they're on 9 cards. 1, 2, Bazaar's there. Oh yeah, there's also a Bazaar in these bottom 9 because I killed that earlier, and then they just top deck a hollow one. I find a Bazaar of Baghdad though, which might be great. Have I cast a spell? I have cast a spell. Yeah, I've cast loads of spells. So, Serum Powder, Poxwalkers, Once Upon a Time, I guess. I cast a hollow one to trade with your hollow one. It's over to the opponent. They've got 9 cards. I'm just going to bring up their exile again. 1, 2, 3, 4 chills have gone, 2 Icarids have gone, 3 amalgams have gone. They won't have a Bazaar next turn, but they do have another Bazaar in this stack. I'm wondering if they're supposed to have activated, get in that 1 Dredge, and then try and find 3 turns of Icarids or something like that. I'm going to discard one of the wastelands because they don't seem to be interested in activating their Bazaars at the moment. Now they do activate the Bazaar. They get Icarid, Icarid, Force of Vigor. Your Bazaar's dead. I'm not attacking. They haven't got the cards to 15 me with Narcomoeba. They've only got 6 cards left. If they Icarid eating Icarid, that's absolutely fine. They do. And then they'll attack with everything, I guess. And I block the hollow one. And I go to 11. Icarid dies. Poxwalkers is good enough for me to activate. I want a lizard here because that will just like provide clock. I'm going to discard everything that's not an endurance and a hollow one. This hollow one's going to do a great job of blocking Icarids and stuff, and I'm kind of confident in my ability to find another green card in the future, should I need it. But the problem with endurance here is like we're just reshuffling their Doomsday stack, and if they're presenting lethal, it's going to happen again, sort of thing. So Icarid doesn't trigger, or Icarid triggers, but there's no food. They've got 1 card in hand at the moment. They go to their draw step. They've got 2. It is the Bazaar. Do you spin it? You've got 4 cards. No. No spin, no attack. We take a draw step. It's a Gaia's Cradle. I don't care about a Gaia's Cradle. I am interested in lizards. Do I come off the endurance? I think I do. I think I just flip for lizards here. Because lizards are chump blockers, and they make 2 more chump blockers. There's a lizard there. Cool. Cool. So we cast this. That triggers my 2 Poxwalkers. I can now chump block whatever they throw at me this turn, and then I can chump block whatever they throw at me the following turn. And they're low on cards. They do activate end step. They find the Amalgam, but they don't find another black creature, which means this Icarid's never coming into play. They Dredge 2, conceding the game. Nice. It was a sketchy hand there, but we did manage to make it. Yeah, that was cool. I think game 1 is always really tough for us, right? Because we've not got the endurances or the traps or the methods to really control their board. But I also think I dillied around a bit too much with how I was, whether I was supposed to be attacking, whether I was supposed to be gaming or not. And I think we got them down to a difficult spot where they had no Bazaar and just a shambling shell. But I think that shell hit like triple Dredger or something, which really got them back into it. Otherwise, I think if they miss there, we've not won, but we've got good chances to leverage. We've got better chances to leverage the advantage we've gained, sort of thing. And then games 2 and 3 were, stories about Endurance, Wasteland, and Ravenous Trap, which is always cool. The game 3 hand, probably sketchy to keep, but there was enough there for me to merit it. And the more that the game progressed, the more I disliked my Force of Vigor pitch with Endurance. I think I should have just played a trap there and eaten the Force of Will like that. I know they didn't have the Force of Will in the end, but that's why I Enduranced. I used the lesser but still effective hate card. But I feel like I opened myself up unnecessarily to their hollow ones in that stage of the game. So maybe Endurance pitching Shepherd's fine, and I can draw another green card for the Vigor. But losing the Vigor and the Endurance was pretty bad. But we still got there. Anyway, enough ramble. Let's go to game 2. Okie dokie nerds, welcome to round 2. We are playing against My Potatoes. I've not played in a while. I've not played with them since just before the showcase. What does this hand do for us? We can produce a strip mine, and we can try and gamble stack for a Bazaar of Baghdad. And if we get to 2 mana, and they're on an artifact deck, our null rod's very good. Alternatively, we could just draw 7 cards for 0 mana, and I'm going to do that one. Look at how powerful that was. You see, I've got a Bazaar into turn 2 Rod or turn 2 Oof, which is much better. We'll keep this, and if we get wasted, then our Bazaar will be in the graveyard, and that's just the way we've got to approach that. But I think this is a keep. The Forest or the redundant Cradle can go into the bin, along with whatever we draw. But whatever we keep here, off of this Bazaar activation, will produce a turn 2 Norrod and a turn 3 Norrod. That's going to be our plan going forwards, but we might be able to get some additional pressure off this Bazaar activation. We don't, so we just discard the cards that we drew, and the redundant Cradle, and we see what our opponent's doing. They do have a Lurrus. They do have a Wasteland. That's fine. Bit annoying, but they've got one. But hey ho. And they play a Mox Jet. So it looks like a controlling Lurrus build. Do I want to play into another Wasteland? I think I'll just play a basic Forest. And if I get stripped, then that's kind of devastating. And I'll lead Nullrod. They've got a Tundra. I'll lead Nullrod. The reason to lead Nullrod is if I draw a green lizard on the following turn, I can go oof into lizard, and that will produce a Vengevine. So Yavimaya Cradle seems like the play to me. And I play Nullrod. Opponent floats a black, likely for a Bowman. No, it's to cycle a Lorien, okay. And they get another Tundra. So interesting, are they just a blue-white deck then? Blue-white control. They play a C. They don't produce anything. I draw a hollow one. But I think I just Wasteland the C. And we just try and keep them out of black mana. It's going to be our approach. They didn't float anything. I'm just going to roll out the Collector Roof. I know I said that was an avenue to a Vengevine, but I'm over it. and they plow my collector roof, which is fine. They probe me to see air, and they play a tundra. And now they have a merchant scroll to find ancestral. Okay. So we're up against it here. Once Upon a Time's an interesting draw, so let's cast that. And they cast Force Negation, Pitching, Misdirection. Okay. They've only got 2 cards left, but one of them is an Ancestral, so they've got 80 cards left or something like that. They cast Ancestral, they've got 5 cards. Okay. Glad we cleared that up. Into a Misty Rainforest. That immediately fetches for a C and produces a frog by the looks of things. Well, it's a dig through time. Okay then. Well, aren't we behind? Opponent has seen a large portion of their deck at this point, and we need to draw a second Bazaar of Baghdad to get things kind of rolling. It's a spot like this where Allosaurus Shepherd is a lot worse than Hex Drinker. So I can just play a Vengevine, but I don't think that's very good. I think I'm going to cycle a Hollow One first, and then pass the turn. I just feel like play Vengevine, attack for 4, get that's a beat. Get plowed wasn't very good, but it would be better than what this is, that's for sure. Another red lizard. Okay, that might be the game. Maybe playing a Vengevine's good, but it just doesn't look very good, does it? Although any Bazaar at this stage will put 11 power into play. They've got a Lurrus of the Dream Den. It's back to us. Lizard. No, I think you can have a go. And there's the frog. In comes Lurrus. We go to 19, they go to 20. Now I cast a lizard. This will get me a Vengevine into play. And now I cast a lizard. I think I attack. Because if they trade with me, then I think I'm fine with that. Yeah. Well, trade. I mean, I trade, 3 cards in their hand. Rod. Pearl. Okay. So I do get a bunch of cards out of their hand, but they were all beyond pointless. So maybe the attack's bad, but... They discard another Psychic Frog, which they can then play with Lurrus. And then they can just crunch for 5, right? Or G-Take to the sky to ensure the card. They take to the sky. Exiling 2 rods and another card. We go down to less life points. And we draw a Collector Roof. And because I attacked with my Vine, I can't play 2 creature spells, but I wouldn't need to play 2 creature spells if I had attacked with my Vine. Oh no, I can. Sorry, I'm silly. So let's go Collector Roof first of all. Play a second Cradle. Keep the second Cradle. Play a Vengevine, triggering a Vengevine. And then do I slay for 8? Or am I, at that point, just trading more cards? Okay, so they counter my Vengevine. I feel like I'm supposed to be attacking, because sitting here is just losing, right? But they can just chump and recast. They just take 4. That also works. That also works, yeah. They discarded a Bowmaster. They played a Bowmaster. They ate a Lizard. And they plowed a Vine. Okay, I get it. I get it. All my guys are dead. I get it. Leave me alone. Cool. So, game 2 against Lurrus stuff. I think endurance is just like a perfectly acceptable body. I think more lands is good. Null rods are gonna be bad, aren't they? I need 3 cuts from here. Endurance, I think, is fine just because it's, you know, a fucking 3/4. So big. And then I like the Poxwalkers because they can slay through the frog. Do I want to collect Oofs just as their green cards and creatures? Or do I just want to be like... If I cut the Oofs, though, we are locked into big bizarre strategies. I think that's fine. They're a null rod deck, right? They don't have... Well, they might have spell bombs and stuff. But I think the bigger threat is going to be like a Pithing Needle. My plan for that is going to be entirely revolving around Besagio. I don't think that's enough to bring in a Force of Vigor against. Okie dokie, game 2, we're on the play because we lost. That's how it works. And what have we got? What have we got? We've got nothing. Let's take a mulligan. This can produce 2 lizards. So we'll go to 6. And we've got turn 1 Vengevine. So we'll keep this. We'll get rid of... I've got to get rid of 2, haven't I? Cradle Wasteland and pray for a Shepherd to stick. Does that even make sense? Is the Shepherd even playable? Jump start. Green spells can't be countered. What green spells am I hoping to resolve in this matchup? Literally 0. So maybe Yavimaya Cradle's better because then I can pump my Liz on turn 2, and that's 11, and that's quite fast. Yeah, let's give that a go. We hit a Lotus, which I actively just don't want, right? I'm just going to play the cards and then maybe trade some Wastelands later. Opponent forces the Hollow on, pitching a Time Walk. I do get the Vine, so they are on 15 after the Force of Will, and we'll see how it all transpires. Opponent has Misty, Fetch, Tundra, Plow, so it all transpires quite poorly. We'll activate our Bazaar because I'm wastelanding them this turn. If I can find something else to do, that's cool. Well, I'll just discard the Shepherd, because if I keep the Shepherd, I can't cast the Shepherd. And we'll wasteland your Tundra, but my clock is 1 point a turn. They've got another wasteland. Oh, they didn't have a wasteland last turn. Wasteland into Jet. We've lived this experience all before. Ruby's quite a nice draw, though. Opponent has a wasteland. Wasteland's my cradle. I draw a forest. And they've got 3 cards in hand, so we've just kind of got to hope that this works, right? We've got Tabernacle at Pendle Vale, so our clock's slow as shit. We will pay the 1, because if we hit another land, then we don't. In we go. 1 ball you. So this is not the clock I was hoping to produce, but our opponent is at 6. No, they've got another land. So they'll make me pay the 1 and then they'll Bowmaster my guy. Typically the way this sequence works. Dismember. No Bowman on that play, so that's interesting. You've got Delta. They fetch to 4, no fear. Tundra. Snapcaster to plow my lizard. Sure. Sure. I don't think I will activate my... I don't think I'll use my Dismember here. I don't think I'm that interested. I think I'll cycle the Hollow One. Wasteland the Tundra. And then we can just eat their mana that way. If they want to keep the Snapcaster in play. They might not want to keep the Snapcaster, because their plan might be land Lurrus, right? Yeah, they don't keep it. They've got an Underground Sea. They buy Lurrus. That's fine. That was kind of expected as a potential line of play. The nice thing here is I do get to dismember the Lurrus. The sad thing is if they counter it, you know? They cycle a Lorien, so that's down a blue card. So their hand has to be exactly force blue card for this to work. Lurrus resolves. We go to their end step. We dismember Lurrus. They've got 2 cards in hand. Is it force blue? Yep. So good chance that's just the game there. But Bazaar of Baghdad's always a good draw. Let's cycle a Hollow One. We get Chalice on 0. Okay. I'm going to hold the Chalice because it's going to be good Bazaar fodder later. But okay, Containment Priest is kind of fucked. They were hellbent, just so we're all clear. There's the Bazaar, and I can't produce my threats because they've got Containment Priest. Let's cast a Once Upon a Time. I get an Endurance, but I can't cast it. So do I just play a Cradle? I can just take Cradle. Now I can cast Vengevines despite keeping Wasteland. Their mana's going to get eaten. But the plan here is to activate Bazaar, draw Dismember Lizard, kill your Containment Priest in response, and get my Poxwalkers into play. Opponent plays the Snapcaster just as another beatdown threat. Our turn, we draw. There's a Lizard. Activate the Bazaar. Find me a Dismember? No. Find me a Boseiju. Okay. So if we discard the Lizard, we lose our Poxwalker. I don't think that's too much of a drama. And the Lizard just has gone up the board, right? So let's get Lizard Cradle Boseiju. We do lose the Poxwalker here, but I'm fine with that. The good thing about resolving the Lizard here is I get to keep 2 lands. Because I get to play one of them here. I get to play the Wasteland and kill the Tundra. And this turn they can't attack. I get to pump my Lizard, you see. We've been through 3 Tundras already. They're paying to keep these 2 alive. But now the board's stalled. I pay with my Ruby. And I draw a Blazing Rootwaller. So I think I just play this and pass. Opponent has to pay the mana as well. They're up to 3 cards in hand though, which is so many. That one's a strip mine, which means they're going to strip my Bazaar. And if they're holding a Bowman, it all goes horrible, but I still have to activate here to develop this guy. Cool. Maybe I didn't have to activate there to develop this guy, because I do have the ruby, right? I pay a green and a blue to cast a Snapcaster Mage. It comes back around to us. So I can just pay with... if I pay for this guy, I have to pay green, right? I think that's an acceptable thing to do. Because it still trades with the 2 creatures they want to keep in play, right? I certainly can't attack. And yeah, this is one of those things where it just feels like the game's just slipping and slipping away. But there's always that thing of I can top deck a Bazaar, draw a Dismember, kill your Containment Priest, put some Vengevines into play, and thanks for joining. That's always something that can happen with these lists. They could have attacked with Snapcaster Mage there. I think Snapcaster Mage is their best damage source at the moment. The other 2 are probably a bit too indispensable to be throwing around. But I don't think I can block a Snapcaster that can just come back. I'll hold this lizard and pass to you. So they let the snap go, which means last turn they drew a 2-mana spell that they'd like to resolve this turn. And it's a Merchant Scroll, which finds an Ancestral. We pay GG. We get a Mental Misstep, which is a pretty good draw when your opponent's just tutored for an Ancestral. But they've got 3 other cards in hand, and it's like, what 3 cards have you found so far that you're not playing? Well, they've got 4 other cards in hand, right? So it's gonna. I assume there's permission behind, but there are rules. There are things we have to do. Oh no, it just gets through. So what are you holding then? A Gitaxian Probe. Okay, you can see that I'm holding nonsense now. They've got a Flooded Strand. They get another Underground Sea. So they're out of Tundras at this point. So this Containment Priest, if we kill it, is dead until they find a Pearl, right? So Poxwalker. They've got a Lotus. I don't love that for me. They play Snapcaster Mage, so then they can Snapcaster Merchant and get a dig. Oh no, they're going to Snapcaster Ancestral. That also makes some sense, I guess. White. In the pool. Plows a green lizard. Path to exile a red lizard, and I've got my basic forest in play. Okay, opponent wins. And I think this is one of the big downsides of AggroVine. Is like, yeah, sure, you can produce some really quick clocks, but against the Lurrus control decks, I feel like it's kind of hopeless. So, you know, because what our opponent did there was just trade with us 1-for-1 for ages. Had an abundance of strip mines, and the pressure I put in off my 2 Bazaar activations wasn't very good. And then yes, the board stalled, but it's just that thing of a board stall favours them, and that's, you know, fundamentally the premise of their deck. So anyway, let's go to a new round. Okay, new round. We're up against Red Hotfield, and we've got an absolute banger of a 7 on the draw. So If they're on combo, we've got rods and chalices. If they're not on combo, we've got big creatures. And that's that, really. Being on the play would have been better, obviously. That's always the case, but it's even more the case when you're holding turn 1 chalice, right? So let's see what Phil is up to today, because regularly plays the AggroVine, but he's kept 7. Lotus. Nice chalice, nerd. Lotus, Ancient Tomb for blue and 2. So our rods are probably going to be decent. That's a Khan, which is going to get a needle, which is going to, in the dark, name Bazaar of Baghdad. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. So we will still play a chalice on 0. And then we'll rod them. Oh, Grafdigger's Cage. Okay. Not Needle. Well, that's fine. It still allows me to play Bazaar of Baghdad. And that allows me to dump... Well, I still discard the Vengevine, even though it can't come into play, right? So let's play a lizard and a lizard. Your Khan's under pressure. Yeah? No, Magic Online didn't like it. And then we'll play our chalice. And then it's your go. So we've pressured Khan. We've locked down their future zeros. They've got this turn to do something semi-spectacular. Oh, they can just kill the chalice. Funny. Cool. I noticed that. Don't worry, I did notice that. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Totally knew that. Yeah, cool plays by me. But now we get to resolve a null rod, right? And that looks like it's going to have text. They flip their they flip their top. They get a workshop. They play another top. And they pass. Okay. So inconclusive if duel or whatever, but I could kill Khan here, but I don't think that's particularly acceptable in the face of 5 mana. Or maybe that is acceptable into the face of 5 mana. Like, they've got 5 solid mana sources already, right? So maybe I just kill Khan and give you a turn. I really don't like that, though. I think I'd rather shut down the top engine and bink Khan for 2. I'm going to lead on Rod. As I said earlier, I don't want my Rod to get phased out and die. Maybe post-combat this is when I'm supposed to play it, but you know. And then we'll attack Khan for 2. This way, if you want to tutor something, you can, but your Khan dies. They can still phase out my Rod, actually, can't they? Because they can just plus like they did on my Chalice. I've never seen the Khan plus have so much text. They plus to activate a top. So top is big and scary. And they've got Glaring Flesh Raker. Do we have a main deck Dismember for that, though? Yeah, I think I do. I think I registered 3 Dismembers. So... what's the plan? Activate Bazaar and make a hollow one? Discarding Lotus, Lizard... Once Upon a Time? I think that's fine. We'll cast this Lizard. We'll play a Wasteland. And we'll Wasteland your Workshop. I'm not attacking this turn. I'm not pressuring Khan, I don't think. I think I'm just going to cast the hollow one. Trigger the Vengevine. Try and bring it back. Get denied. Pass to the opponent. And they have to produce threats consistently to get the Flesh Raker going. They play a Grim. They get a 0-1. So we were very close to dead, weren't we? And this turn I'm just gonna... Oh, what a draw. What an absolute draw. So, how do you play? That's the next question. We play Cradle, and then we attack everything it can, I think. Yeah. So Flesh Raker's getting in the way, Grim's getting in the way, that's getting in the way. I activate this and I pump this guy to kill the Cradle, to kill the Flesh Raker. And I pump this guy to kill the Grim. And Khan takes one. Next question. Do I Besage you Ancient Tomb? I think I'm kind of into it. So I don't think they play a basic. If they do, then I got, but no basics for you. And now they're probably just dead on board. Yeah, 13. Yeah, we win. Nice. Okay, so we're into game 2, and I paused the recording and made a lot of coffee. Well, I made sideboard changes. So what we've done is we've dropped the Allosaurus Shepherds and we've dropped the Once Upon a Times and the Forest. We've brought in the 2 additional Dismembers, the 4 Force of Vigors, and the 1 or 2 extra Besages post board. Dropping the Once Upon a Time because once I'm bringing in 2 Dismembers for Vigor, my Once Upon a Times aren't quite as good. This is a turn 2 Null Rod, this opener. Sorry, I paused the recording and then came back and started talking straight into the recording and didn't unpause it. So that's why you missed sideboarding. We'll keep this because this is a banger. This is a banger. So, opponent's got a Jet. Turn 2 might be too slow against them, but you know, this is exactly what we came here to do. They've got a Flesh Raker. Turn 1 might be too slow against them. Let's find out. Oh no, they're passing the turn. One downside is I can't produce mana on turn 1. I'm going to discard Powder Lizard. So get in there. Cast a Hollow One. You'll go. And if you've got top, then that's great. Congratulations, you know. But if you haven't, I've got a Null Rod and the game slows down again. So that's where we're kind of coming from. Underground River. Welcome back. I haven't seen that card in a while. I think since 9th edition limited, actually. That's the last time I saw that. So opponent's got 2 cards left. We need to hope that they're bad, but the amount of mana they're trying to float, it doesn't look like they're going to be bad. That's another key. They untap again. 6, 7, 8 mana. Is this just a PO? PO for 4. Congratulations. Opponent's on 8 cards, 2 keys. There's a crane nearby having a hard time, so I apologise if you can hear that. But right, am I dead yet? Right, 10. You've got 1 card left. Is it good? It's a Disruptor Flute. And they name the Bazaar, but that's fine because I've got the Cradle. I can't activate it this turn because we're clearly rodding them. They're going to give their Flesh Raker unblockability. We're going to go to 7. But they're going to slow down quite a lot next turn. They've got infinite mana, that's fine. But when their artifacts don't work, it's a bit harder for them to get anywhere. Do I want to play Yavimaya Cradle rather than Gaia's Cradle? Not really. I'm just going to play this. I'm going to play the Rod. Then I'm going to attack for 2. The reason I'm attacking for 2 is I'm not actually interested in trading 2 lizards for a flesh raker. I want my cradle to work. And my plan is to find a dismember next turn. They've got 1 card. Nothing can attack. They are very far ahead because their spells will kill me. But it can't be activated. It's not even pay, is it? Spells with the chosen name cost 3 more to cast. I thought it was pay. I always do this. I get confused between the different versions of nonsense taxing effects. I can't race. Play a cradle. Play a null rod. Two or 4, what's better then? Maybe I am more interested in this now that I've got the Yavimaya Cradle. They've got 11 chump blockers, right? So I've got to work my way through them without exposing myself to additional damage. They've got City of Traitors. That makes 4 mana, which casts a 1 ring. I take a point of damage. Play or draw was a very, very big difference this game, wasn't it? I draw the dismember, so we kill this guy. We go to 2. But this gives us license to just attack now, right? They've got no creatures that can deal combat damage. We're dead to a top deck Khan. We're dead to a top deck Raker or a Patchwork or whatever. But that was the draw we needed. That's the draw we have to get ourselves into the game. And now we've just got to fade for a bunch of turns. They drew Ancient Tomb. They can attack for 0 11 times if they want to. Turn on their Windbrisk Heights, but that's not great. We draw Vengevine. And in we go. Not much else for us to do here other than add to the board and turn our creatures sideways every turn. They found something to do and it's a Time Vault, so they found nothing to do. Yeah, I'll play that. In come the kids. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Opponent's taking 2 a turn at the moment. We'll see if they feel like blocking the Basking next turn. But I've got 2 rods in play, so it's going to be hard for them to answer them. Unless they play like a recall or something. They found a spell. A Time Walk, that's fine. Oh, did I attack into the ring earlier? That's funny. So 4 mana is another ring. So my attacks are bad, but we'll put them to the test anyway, see if they feel like chomping. So they can't do anything on the crackback. I'm going to kill their Underground Sea here. Turn them off of like a big PO top deck or something. We attack like this. Oh, I'm just going to attack with everything. Who cares? Opponent sensibly no blocks. They take no damage because of the ring. They draw an Urza's Saga, and I've just punted my Wasteland away. That's gross. Chalice of the Void. What kind of chalice on here that we care about? Chalice on 1, chalice on 2. Well, I've got to deal my damage whilst the getting's good. Some of their creatures die. They're at 4, which means no, because I've got my cradle in play. What's a good chalice number in this position? I don't know the answer to that. 2 or 3 is fine. 2 kills Patchwork, 3 kills Flesh Raker. Can I do 3? Yeah, easily. That's 5. That's 6. So you can't play Flesh Rakers or Trinospheres. I can't play Endurance or Dismember. I can't play Dismember anyway. Sure. Chalice on 3. Oh, my powder's dead as well now. That's a shame. And now the game's the wrong way up, and our opponent is heavily advantaged because they're going to make some creatures which are rather large. Like 10/10s or some shit. So I'd like to draw Force of Vigors. I've not drawn very well. Maybe I have drawn exceedingly well, actually. I don't know. So if I attack, then you make a 10/10. And block. And then yeah, I just can't get anywhere, can I? I think I'm probably better off trying to trade off 10/10s. Opponent makes an 11/11, sorry. I don't know if this saga can get anything particularly techie. So that's a 12/12, so I'd have to pump, block, block, block. So I think I'm better off just chumping with lizards, right? Oh, no attacks. Opponent doesn't want to trade off. So now we're back to wanting to draw Force of Vigor. We draw a Boseiju who endures. That's very interesting. So I can float a bunch and Boseiju your Disruptor Flute. Did you bring in an island after last game? No. This allows me to activate my Bazaar of Baghdad and look for Force of Vigors in a more efficient way. I can't cast Dismember, so that's an easy discard. I do get a free lizard for my troubles. Do I gain anything from doing this? From activating now? No, but I will anyway. Poxwalkers and another lizard. The Poxwalkers can't come into play, but this means we get to sandbag another Bazaar. So let's cast our 2 guys. And I feel okay about this game now, because I've got plenty of blockers, right? I haven't found the Vigor, but I've got plenty of little idiots to put in the way and try and find a Vigor next turn. And my Bazaars are back online, which is how we get through our deck. So we pass back to Phil and hope his hand's just full of Flesh Rakers or something. And I assume either player's got draws that can just blow this game open. But let's draw our card. So Black Lotus, which is a nice easy discard. So it's the other Bazaar really at this point, isn't it? But this is all nonsense. I've already got a Cradle and stuff. Do I want to hold on to a Bazaar or another Cradle? I mean, my Bazaars don't do anything, but my artifacts do even less. So let's pass again. I'm not playing the other Bazaar because I want the... Basically nothing in my deck matters other than Besagis and Vigors. So we always want to have one card in hand as that selection piece. So back to us. The Strip Mine, I don't think that really does anything. Ancient Tomb and Wasteland. And another hollow one. I'm just going to discard everything and cycle the hollow one. Find another Wasteland. I mean, I could waste my Yavimaya and put them on to shit all mana. Or I could Wasteland them and put them on to shit all mana. But I think I just want to keep my card. I just want to keep my card and look for my Vigor. Because Vigor's going to trade cleanly with those two constructs. And once we've done that, we can make our way through these 0-1s quite handedly, sort of thing. I'm not too stressed about things they can draw. I'm sure they've got draws, which will upset me, but I'm going to do the same as last turn. Discard everything, cycle the hollow one. If it's a Vigor, it's great. If it's not a Vigor, then we hold it. Kill these two, please. And now we can attack. Give this guy a little nudge. Squad in. Match complete. That was a cool one though. Our rods did the vast majority of the heavy lifting, really slowed them down. And yeah, that top deck Dismember in the early game after they played the turn 2 Raker bought us that time. And yeah, we almost lost it to the Saga. But again, opponent didn't feel like they could expose themselves by attacking with the constructs, which gave us the time to draw into, well, Boseiju and then Vigor, right? And yeah, I could have been playing those hollow ones. I could have cast that Vengevine. I could have wasted their Ancient Tombs on the way through. But I feel like we're in a spot where really just one card mattered. Or running Boseijus would have mattered as well in a similar manner. But this board is plenty. I don't need more than that to win the game with. I need those constructs gone to win the game. So anyway, see you for round 4. Okay, round 4, we're up against ASY. We've got turn 1, 5 power. We are on the draw. We can Wasteland them. We can pump our Lizard. Life is good. They have not revealed a Lurrus, so chances are we're looking for rods and stuff. Typically the way it works, I think. Opponent plays Wasteland into Black Lotus, which is pretty good. And then they just pass the turn there. So how many Hull Breachers do they think they've got in their hand? This is aggressively suspicious. So let's go Mox Ruby. That was a sick draw, because that's what we're going to do. We'll play our Wasteland, and now we'll cast our Null Rod. Show me your secrets. They've got an Ancestral Recall. Cycles Alorian revealed. Gets a Tropical Island. Also, is it Oath? Oath of Druids? Was it just Bug? Could just be Bug. Trop. Makes an Oath. Okay, well that's shit. And then they put Sapphire into play. It's kind of tough for the home team, if I'm honest. I'd like a Boseiju now. I guess I have to Wasteland you. And then I can reveal that I'm on a Bazaar strategy for a change, and we'll discard 3 serum powders. How about that? How about that? Oath is always just the worst matchup in the world for this deck. To the point that I almost considered post-board Grafdigger's Cages for exactly this matchup sort of thing. I'm just going to roll out the Cradle because it doesn't look very threatening, and then we can try and draw a Boseiju later. Opponent has a Hedge Maze. Discards another Trop. So it looks like they've got lands. We get another Null Rod. I don't really care about that. I'm going to cycle a Hollow one. I get another Cradle. Okay. They could just have Show and Tell here. At which point the game will end. But if I develop a creature, the game will also end. They kill my Cradle of Growth. Like Oko, Show and Tell, Forbidden Orchard. Dig Through Time, surely up there. But this is really one of those matchups where we need to have, you know, the triple Vengevine, quadruple Hollow one draw. And even then I think we're behind. So let's play a Yavimaya Cradle and develop another Null Rod. I don't see why we can't. Maybe holding the Cradle is better because then I can't get wasted off of green and then my next Boseiju is alive. But they've just resolved a Dig Through Time, right? They've got an Oko Thief of Crowns. They stand up my Ruby. Another way the game can end. They showed us a Volcanic. We'll let them show us their deck and then we'll go to game 2 after this Oath of Druids trigger. Sure, I'll attack Oko in case they're on like a nonsense Pyrogoyf build. But we don't need to show them anything else on our side. So Oath triggers. Opponent reveals an Atraxa, some Null Rods, some stock ups. They're just a controlling Oath deck. That's fine. 10 more cards for free. Pyroblast, Force of Will, Gaia's Blessing, Ruby, Time Walk. Fine. So controlling Oath of Druids, structurally dead in deck building. Thundering Falls as well, so multiple Surveil lands. Shows that they're here for a long time. We get Caracas. And we get 2 Boseijus. I'm even going to bring in the Force of Vigors here. I don't know if I want Poxwalkers. Which I think I want all the creatures. I think I want to be as aggro in as fast as possible. So I'm just going to drop all of that nonsense and one of the Once Upon a Times. And just try and be fast with some land packaged behind. I think that makes sense to me. But we are incredibly unfavoured in the pre-board era. So what we'll do then is we'll cast a Black Lotus to start. And now we'll play and activate the Bazaar. Because if I hit a lizard, everything's easy and free. If I don't hit a lizard, everything's difficult. How do you play? I can't produce green. Maybe I just discard... Well, I can produce green, but I can't produce enough green. I'm going to get Wastelanded next turn, so I want to get the Vengevines in the yard. I think I'm going to discard Vengevine, Vengevine, Wasteland. And then the hope here is that we top deck a green source. Because if we top deck a green source, we can just go Shepherd, Crack, Lotus, Poxwalkers, attack for 8. And that's something where we're like actually putting forward... Well, okay. Get fucked me, I guess. Cool, our Vengevines are gone. Their Hedge Maze is in play. That's fine. Was I ever playing around that? Not really, because then I'm like discarding real cards, right? So we find another Poxwalker. So we'll activate the Bazaar because lizards are the world. We find 2 powders. I'm just going to discard 2 Poxwalkers and a powder. And now I'm going to wasteland you. And now we're just on find a lizard. That's the whole game plan. Don't get wastelanded, find a lizard. There's a Scalding Tarn and a pass to the turn. So Besage you. So I guess we pass. Because then we can like end step activate, find out if we're bringing back any Poxwalkers. They'll have an Oath of Druids in play at that point. And I can Besage you. I can pitch Allosaurus Shepherd, get a Force of Will out of your hand. Crack Lotus, Besage you your Oath. They get another tap land. This also allows me to play in response to Tormod's Crypts and stuff. They've got a Wasteland, which is going to make me activate my Bazaar, which is fine, I think. There's a Lizard, so we'll discard Powder, Lizard, Emerald, I presume. Maybe I want to keep the Emerald for the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. And then, okay, so I can just come off of my Force of Vigor. We cast a Lizard, we've got a bunch of power. There we go. That's the whole game plan. Opponent passes to us. We draw a Vengevine. That Vengevine is not getting put into play. I'm going to play an Allosaurus Shepherd. This can't be countered, no. And now I'm just going to attack for 7. We're not pumping the Lizard. The Lotus is going to help us play around the Cradle of Growth. Not the Cradle of Growth, the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, sorry. Cradle of Growth is something I'm interested in drawing. And we're going to hold the Lotus as long as possible so that we can Besage you potential Oath of Druids. There's the Oath of Druids, that's fine. We'll take our turn first. Because we can Oath and... we can pump and kill Oath, you know. So there's a hollow one. So let's crack this for green. Pump a Lizard. Hang on, did I just miss lethal? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I did just miss lethal. Fuck. Okay, well, kill your Oath of Druids, I guess. I can put them to 2. Depends on how many lightning bolts they're holding as well. Yeah, I missed. Uncounterable lethal. Opponent has Lotus for blue for stock up. Too focused on this Besage you killing an Oath of Druids when I could have just killed the opponent instead. So that one's on me for sure. That said, they're still under pressure, right? They need to come up with Land Oath. Stock up resolves. Opponent concedes the game. So we got there despite really trying our best to hand them the game. How do we feel about our game plan as it is, though? I think it's fine. I think it's got text, and that's better than we have been. Maybe I can get rid of this Chalice and add a Once Upon a Time on the draw. Okay, game 3 against Oath, and this is an interesting one, right? Play my Shepherd, force of Vigor your Oath of Druids, play my Little Lizard, attack for 4 a turn. My Vigor can't be countered. My Lizard's a 3-1. I mean, if we're going to test Allosaurus Shepherd, this is the moment, right? It's like, I've got some interactive nonsense. But if they go turn 1 Oath, then my Shepherd's crap into an Oath of Druids, right? Because I play the Shepherd, I can't cast Force of Vigor on my turn. Yeah, no, this is nonsense. Let's go to 6. Let's get a Bazaar of Baghdad in here. Or not. Or there's another Allosaurus Shepherd hand, but I think we've got to go Bazaaring. This is a Bazaar Poxwalker's Vigor. Let's get rid of Powder and Lotus. Say done. Opponent took a mulligan to 6, which is either good or bad, and they play a tap land on 1. Okay. Discarding a stock up. Does that mean they're hurting for lands, or just they've got no intention of the game going that long? I'm going to play Bazaar and pass. And the reason we're going to pass is the Poxwalkers don't care, and they don't have haste, and they're tapped. This way we can see what they do. They play a Misty. They play a Tormod's Crypt. Tormod's Crypt is very annoying because that will eat my Poxwalkers. So do I want to dump here? Probably should at least take a look. I draw the Boseiju. So I can discard this stuff. They've made a land drop so they can't Tabernacle or Wasteland me. I can play this. I get my 7 power. Your Tormod's Crypt resolves and it's useless. You play Oath of Druids, I Boseiju it. You take 7, it's your go. That's a nice little sequence. So they think they got me, but my Bazaar activation lets me get them. And everyone feels clever. What a great game. Let's get in our 7 before we give them mana. Opponent falls to 12. They've got 3 cards in hand. And an additional basic land type. So they can get their hedge maze here, get a free little bit of value. But me not being dead is a higher amount of value in terms of the game going on. We've still got a Bazaar in play at the moment, which is pretty techy, and we've got a backup Bazaar if we need. But the hope here is they do nothing, and then we get to develop up to 4 mana. Do I want to activate here? I think I will. Let's draw some cards. I don't think they can punish that. Oh, I lied. Hull Breacher. Okay. Hull Breacher's fine. You get some treasures. I discard some Bazaars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana over there. I discard just not Force of Vigor, I guess. And then I attack for 6. That's interesting that you would make that change. Opponent taps a treasure, abrades a Poxwalkers. You trading with the Poxwalkers? No, you take 3. And then they crypt me. Unsure why. And now they have a Dakfaden, okay. And now I discard a thing and they get 2 treasures, sure. Are they trying to build up to hard casting and Atraxa? I guess I killed Dakfaden. Dakfaden falls to 1. This is interesting. Like, the Hull Breacher's dominating the game, but I'm just confused about the Hull Breacher being in the deck, you know. I trust my opponent's judgment more than mine, but it's just odd. I think they're just holding an Atraxa here. And now they can just cast it and I die, which is pretty cool. No, they've got an Oko, so we're just going to die in other ways. Oko stands up a treasure token. I don't have any dismembers in my deck, so I do feel like I kind of got in that respect. Okay, I think that's going to do it, right? I can't beat an Oko and a Dak and a whole Breacher with no removal in my deck. So we'll go to a new round. That was cool though. That's interesting sideboarding. I'm not convinced by it. Like, you just put an Oath of Druids into play and I can't win, and then you put an Atraxa into play and I doubly can't win, sort of thing. But it definitely worked because it completely wasn't on my radar that we'd come off of Atraxa. So yeah, cool, nice one. Let's go to the next round. Okie dokie, final round, dropping it Summer Troll, who's going to probably be on a breach list. Okay, opponent has revealed a Lurrus to the Dream Den. We've got a turn 1 Null Rod and a Vengevine to discard, and we're on the play. So, feeling good, assuming some sort of Grixis Lurrus breachy shit, but the question is, how do we develop this Null Rod? I think I want to go Lotus and cast Null Rod off the Lotus, because if that works and sticks, I have more discard equity in my 2 pieces of jewelry. If this fails, I can go Ruby Rod, and if it fails, I can also try and find a Collector Roof or something like that. We'll play the Null Rod, and the Null Rod gets in. So now we can play our Bazaar of Baghdad, and we can activate with lots of information. We'll discard the 2 artifacts and the vine, and we'll play the chalice, and it's over to the opponent. So the Rod's in. They're usually on a breach list, but they may not be. You know, it's, you play against these players' tendencies. It's the same thing as, you know, when I randomly register Doomsday for big events and stuff, just because I think Doomsday's in a better spot than my deck, and that way I get a little bit of equity in that sort of position. But I'm expecting breach. The thing with the Lurrus breach decks though is, yes, Null Rod's good, yes, Chalice is good. It turns off their combo side of things. Our opponent can still just play a Psychic Frog and brown us. So we've got a lot of work to do. The game's not done. We've got to find some stuff. Hopefully Lizard. That would be the dream. We find Lizard Cradle. So I'm going to discard some cards. I'm not yet sure which ones they are. I don't think I'm discarding this Lizard. I'm definitely discarding this Powder. I get to keep one other one out of Yavimaya, Gaia's Cradle, and Bazaar of Baghdad. So I don't think the breach lists have too many Bowmasters. But if I discard all my mana sources and they play a Bowmaster, I'm kind of really up against it, aren't I? So what if I discard Cradle and Bazaar and assume I'm not getting wasted too hard this turn? And hide the Cradle of Growth and keep some discard equity going into next turn in case I upgrade my land in some way, shape or form. Or I find like Hollow One Gaia's Cradle, you know? Opponent's going to fetch and get themselves like an Undercity or something. No, just a C. C casts Ancestral. Ancestral puts them onto 9 cards in hand. 10 cards after their draw step, which is quite a lot more than me. But I have got an extra permanent. So there is the Psychic Frog, and this is part of the problem. They immediately discard a Sapphire, because otherwise it's going to hand size anyway. Multiple reasons why that Sapphire is bad, and we draw yet another Bazaar. So let's take a look at what we can draw. Can we put any sort of threat into play this turn? I think Poxwalkers are our best threats over Vengevines at the moment. But, you know, we still accept this. I am just going to come off the mana at this point. Cast 2 Vengevines. And I think I am just going to... cast 2 Lizards, sorry. And I think I am just going to send the think I'm just going to send the Vengevine at their Psychic Frog. Do I like that? I think so. I think I like that. Just get cards out of your hand. Make it so that you need the game to be over. And then try and just go round your Psychic Frog. So they discard Flusterstorm. They discard Force of Negation. All blank cards. Now we can cast Hollow One. And if they have a Force of Will, this is going to eat a real blue card at this point, right? It doesn't, and then we'll flip our Bazaar of Baghdad and just see if we get any more incidental lizardry. We don't, we get a Vengevine into the bin. So opponent's main phase, they do have a 4/5, that is bigger than anything we can produce. But, you know, if it's a Bowmaster, we can go to the next game as well. That's fine. I'm saying all of this that they're on Grixis Breach, but they might actually just be on blue-black control, you know? They take to the sky. Maybe my Vengevine attack's really bad, and I'm just supposed to look at them with my 10 power, and they look at me with their 1 power. But they feel powerful because they're holding Negation Fluster. Opponent has 2 mana. Plays another frog, but this one's a foil frog, so it's actively better than the first one. We get to flip a bunch of cards over. Land. And then we get to flip a bunch of cards over. The same 2 lands into a Null Rod. We probably can't attack, and now we get dominated by frogs, which is a common experience. Opponent's got 7 cards in hand, a high number of life points compared to us. I'm not sure what we do from here. Well, our entire game plan at this point, because I've discarded all my mana, our entire game plan is just to activate Bazaars until one player's legally not allowed to play anymore. Opponent discards a Lotus and then eats cards with frogs. So 4/4 frog inbound, or 4/5 frog inbound. And then they discard a Flusterstorm, so it's a 5/6. You probably discard a bit more, right? Because then you can just present lethal next turn. So I take 6 now, going down to 10 points of life. They draw a card, and next turn they can discard their hand and take to the sky, and I'll lose. They have more things to do. That's a Demonic Tutor. So that's going to get like a main deck. So Spellbomb doesn't do anything. We take a draw step because we've got a card in hand, so we can get a bit of filtering going on. None of that's good, so we'll come off the idea of filtering and we'll flip 2 more Bazaars and search for Vengevines and Lizards. But I'm not sure how I ever win from here. Especially when I only registered 2 Lizards today. So opponent's got lethal on board, so we can go to a new game. Okay, so against like Lurrus, I'm going to want this Dismember. I'm going to bring in an Endurance, just as I said before, I think he's just quite big. And then Boseiju is going to come in because it can kill Breach and Needle. I think that all makes rough sense. I'll drop a couple of rods because it wasn't conclusive as to what they're actually doing with themselves at the moment. 63 cards. Chalice is either great or awful, but I've still got the oofs, and I think I'm more concerned about the frogs after that game. And I've got 2 cuts to make, and it's probably just endurance, right? Then I'm going into a game with very few hate pieces, all about the aggression. And the Boseiju uses uncounterable ways to kill Needles and Underworld Breaches. But, yeah, we'll see if that makes sense in a moment. Okay, so game 2 up against Summer Troll, and we've got the play. There are all my lizards. Straight to the exile zone with you. There's 2 lizards and a Vengevine. So let's keep this hand. And I'm going to lead on Once Upon a Time. This finds me a hollow one, which means we get a second Vengevine into play. Another hollow one off this activation is obviously the Dream, so we get triple Vine. We get a Collect Roof. So we'll go Vine, Vine, and then Green Lizard, because I don't have any green pitch cards in my deck, I don't think. So the classic 13 power on turn 1, and then it's does our opponent have a Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale? If yes, then the game continues. If no, then your Wasteland sucks, you know? Or they might just kill us. So here's a Sapphire into a Tabernacle. Very good. My cards go to the graveyard. But the nice thing about hitting that hollow one is that I've sandbagged a lizard, right? So future lizards, although I've got 4 in exile, all my guys die. But if I hit the second creature spell this turn, and that can be Allosaurus Shepherd and a green source, could be another lizard, could be another hollow one, then our opponent will die to that. We miss, but we can discard Vengevine, Serum Powder, Dismember. And then we can play another Bazaar and have a look. Can I have a look? Is that even true? That's probably not true, right? Well, I can certainly play another Bazaar. But if I have a look, right, then if I miss, if I hit, then I win the game. So maybe I need to really consider that as an option. But at the moment, I'm guaranteed a kill next turn. With Yavimaya Cradle, which also... But then what if they Wasteland me? And I think I'm going to take the conservative route and kill you next turn. Right? And I've played the second Bazaar so that my Cradle can't get Wastelanded. And that guarantees the kill next turn. If I get Wastelanded, then it's a bit more difficult. Opponent Ancestrals himself again. But this is allowing them to play a frog as well, actually. Maybe I am supposed to just punt and just play the same way I did last time. That's another frog. So yeah, so now they're not dead next turn. And they've got Verdant Catacombs. Okay, so maybe I screwed this up, but I just liked the idea of definitely killing you. So we want to lead on an activation. We hit a hollow one. So but I have to discard the hollow one, right? Oh no, hang on, Lizard. Guy's Cradle Ruby. And then we can cast Hollow One. And attack for 12. Attack you. Next question. Do I want to play this Collector Roof and keep guys in play, or do I want to... Which unlocks the ability to keep guys in play, or do I want to make life... No, I've got to play Collector Roof, right? Because the... To 2 artifacts on their side of the board. Yeah, the double stone rain and unlock my creatures is really good. So I was thinking I can just take a draw step, get in an activation, looking for another lizard, but we've gone through a lot of lizards. Looks like we're getting pushed here. They fetch a Bayou and push a Vengevine. That's fine. Then they block a Vengevine and discard a bunch of cards, I presume. And then they'll have Force blue card behind, maybe. They discard Force of Vigor. Okay, so they're just on Bug. They're not on Breach at all. Force of Vigor. Tropical Island. And we're just having like a clean trade, or are you... No, and then a Force of Will gets discarded. So we've got to hope that they haven't kept Force blue card. This is my Collector Roof, which is a double stone rain, but it unlocks their Tabernacle. But our opponent is out of blue mana. So it's like a single stone rain, but we're really just killing that Sapphire. Our opponent's on 7. So if we attack with everything next turn, they do die. They need another Fatal Push in hand. The downside of that is I get no activations in. But I still... Oh, I can't attack with everything because one of them's dead. The lizard's dead, isn't it? But they still can't block the Collector Roof without Fatal Push in hand. They probe me. I've got no cards in hand, my man. But I think they're just looking for another card to get out of this with, and they concede the game. Nice. So how does the rest of this game actually play out, though, before I go to sideboarding? I pay 3, I keep Oof, Vengevine, Hollow One. I attack with everything. You eat a Hollow One. You go to 1. I activate everything, you die. So I think they had another turn there, but that's fine. Right, and do we want anything else on the draw? I don't think so. I think I'm happy with where I am. The Collector Roof looked really good there, but I think they're just on Bug. Maybe a Hermit Druid version. Hermit Druid, is that right? Not Hermit Druid. Heritage Druid. One of them. Not the one that makes 3 mana with elves. The other one. The one that decks them. They might be doing that. This hand is nonsense. Our opponent has a Lurrus. So if they are doing that, but they haven't shown us that they're doing that yet, right? Not enough that we can bring in... I mean, I almost bought in 2 Endurances earlier, so maybe there is a way I can get there, but... Let's go to 6. And I'm going to keep this hand. I'm going to tuck a Lizard, I think. And the reason I'm going to keep this hand is I get to cast Once Upon a Time, and then I get to cast Once Upon a Time. And that should find us a Bazaar. They also have a Black Lotus. And a Misty. And no more plays. So it's our turn. We get Poxwalkers. Let's cast Once Upon a Time. Finds us Hollow One Poxwalkers Beseiju. I'm going to take the Beseiju because it's a stable mana source. And now I'm going to cast Black Lotus. An opponent fighting Black Lotus here is problematic, you know? And yeah, I could have mulliganed lower to find an actual Bazaar. but I felt like this was acceptable. I don't find a Bazaar, so I now feel like it's an unacceptable keep. We get an Allosaurus Shepherd. We cast an Allosaurus Shepherd. And then I'm just going to play a Boseiju for the turn, I think. Slow roll the strip. Or do I want to develop strip? Because they'll fetch around it if they can. But also it insulates me against Tabernacle for if I top deck a Bazaar. That makes some amount of sense, doesn't it? If I top deck a Bazaar of Baghdad, then I'll be pleased to have already developed my strip mine. What I do have to do is resist the temptation to strip mine whatever they get here. And I think I've got that in me. I think I've got the ability to... try and not strip mine them. They don't fetch. They're playing around my strip mine, which I do like as well. They have a Mox Jet, and I've got nothing to do with that either. They've got a Tropical Island. So 1 billion mana over the other side of the table. They can play Lurrus this turn, which is always problematic. So turn 2 Lurrus, and I don't have a Bazaar of Baghdad. I just assumed that there would be one in my top 10, you know? I felt like that was reasonable odds, but... There's a Gaia's Cradle. Can I play a Lizard? Is that acceptable? I guess so. I need to play the game somehow, right? Let's play this. Play this. You'll go. I don't think I care about anything that's not a Tabernacle. They probe me to see that I've got fuck all. Well, I've got a Gaia's Cradle, so I can cast a Vengevine next turn and start pounding. So I don't have nothing. But yeah, maybe this wasn't the hand to rest your winning record on. What's interesting here is they can feed me the Tabernacle. They wasteland my Boseiju. That's fine. They kind of can't attack with Lurrus, right? But I'm so cold to a frog here, it's horrible. I mean, they can attack. It's just we can't block, because if they attack, we can't block, because it means they've got Fatal Push. If they haven't got Fatal Push, they might be able to find the attack. But not having the protection makes this really tough, right? So currently not holding Fatal Push, or is holding Fatal Push and doesn't want to telegraph the Fatal Push in that manner. So let's just go along and kill some lands. I know they've got Lurrus Lotus, but I think it's fine to just actively try and tax their mana in some way. Opponent floats a green. I float the idea of passing the turn. Do you want to do anything with your green mana? No. Okay. No attacks from either player. I wonder what the odds are of me having a Bazaar in my top 17 or whatever that was. I feel like they've got to be good, right? You should have one in every 15. If it's evenly distributed, I guess. So in comes the Lurrus. We can't block because we're too scared of Fatal Push. Opponent attacks us for 3, but we get back in for 4 unless they have a Psychic Frog. They have a Fatal Push. Okay. I have a Boseiju. Do I want to be strip mining them? Not really. I think I'm just going to play a Besage and pass the turn. Because trading 3 for 3 doesn't really make sense. I think I'd rather hold on to my Gaia's Cradle, but also bluff the ability to block your Lurrus. So one issue with this matchup is I did completely misdiagnose what they're on. Misdiagnose, is that right? Misunderstand what our opponent's doing. Sure, I'll cycle. I'll play and activate Bazaar of Baghdad. And I will return a Poxwalker to play. So I have got mana now, so I can somewhat play around a Tabernacle despite tapping my Strip Mine. My 2 lizards mean that Lurrus can't really attack, but if it attacks this turn I will absolutely block, because I can't pay for both my guys through a post-combat tab. So I'm not too fussed about getting blown out by a Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, you know? If they have another Wasteland, it's going to go after the Bazaar. They have a Psychic Frog, I hate that for me. But I do like Poxwalkers into Psychic Frog at least. It allows me to continue to present pressure. Interesting that our opponent's not come up with a Bowman just yet. I would have expected that to be a card we're looking for in our openers sort of thing. I am concerned about it, but I just don't have the space to play around it, I don't think. So our turn, our Yavimaya Cradle really can't come into play right now because they don't have any green mana other than their Lotus. And like a Bowman here probably just ends it all, but maybe I'm supposed to attack first because I don't have a creature rolled up for Vengevine. So my odds of returning are very low. I'm going to discard the waste. I'm going to attack for 3. And the hope here is that we have our opponent trade with Psychic Frog. Because they can just play it again, right? They're not too fussed. They don't. So we'll just play a Cradle and a Collector Roof. And if the Collector Roof resolves, then now I'm strip mining them. If the Collector Roof doesn't resolve, then I won't strip mine them. Or maybe I should anyway. Not really, because they'll still have 5 mana, right? So that's Force of Will pitching Flusterstorm. Now our opponent gets to crack back, but I've still got 2 power open for Lurrus to beat Lurrus with. And I think the play against Lurrus is just to double block, because that plays around Fatal Push if the Lurrus comes in. I won't block this. What's the clock difference like? I attack for a bunch. But no, that's the point. I need to count how much a bunch is. I attack for 9. You attack back for 6, 7, 8, 9, but you gain 3. So I lose. I think I attack first. Pump a Lizard, The idea of attacking first is that we're going to get around a bowmaster like this. Like they would flash in a bowmaster to try and kill the lizard in response to the activation. I would get my activation off. Everyone's happy. One of my lizards is dead, but I get to draw 2, you know. Both threats come in. We won't block. Opponent goes to 10. Opponent discards Vigor. Opponent discards Misty. I take 6, I go to 10. And I do die next turn. I'm going to flip cards on end step, I think. Because I don't believe my opponent's playing a bowmaster. And if I found a lizard there, it was very good. So let's untap, flip upkeep because we can. Find Collect Roof Vengevine. Draw a card. It's a hollow one. So if I hold hollow one, I've got 2 Vengevines in the bin. So I can attack with just Poxwalkers, I guess. And then pass the turn. And then this frog represents 8 damage at the moment, and I'm at 10. So I guess I'm like dead to a draw spell of some variety. Ancestral, dig through time, stock up. And I've slow rolled the hollow one because the turn it comes into play, I know I could have cast it for a mana there, but the turn it comes into play, it's worth 8 damage. Off my vines. Opponent takes to the sky with a 3/4 at the moment. Maybe the hollow one holds really bad. Because I need to plant 10, don't I? Opponent discards a misstep. Opponent discards a daze. Yeah, it hits me for half my life points. Yeah, I think my combat's been bad this game. They find a bayou. They've had the Lotus the whole time. We get a lizard. So we activate Bazaar of Baghdad. We're completely dead to this Psychic Frog at this point. Does the hollow one do anything for us at this stage? I get a Poxwalker's back. What does our opponent have? Well, I've got no choice, right? I'm just sending my creatures into the red zone and praying. But what does my hollow one do for me? I need 4 mana to activate both my lizards. I'm dead to the frog, so I need 4 mana to activate both my lizards. I've got 4 mana left over, which means I can tap this to cycle a hollow one, and if I hit another Vengevine, that's just another hasty threat, right? The hollow one doesn't do anything for us. Oh, is that even true? I miss anyway. Pump a lizard. I guess a ruby would have worked there as well. No, it wouldn't. Okay, I think I'm just losing my mind. That's fine. Pump a lizard, pump a lizard. Yeah, and then I would have had 4 mana left over if I hit a Vengevine. I think that makes sense. I did count it properly. Opponent blocks here, invalidates one of these. I think opponent's at 1, aren't they? If I'd hit dismember, that would have also been cracked. Black, black, black. Fatal pushes AggroVine, and then that results in them at 1. Okay, so they win. If I played Hollow One last turn, then it was like kind of... if I played Hollow One last turn, then I win, but it was like a massive gamble stack as to whether I hit 2 creatures with no cards in hand, right? Like, I'm just asking to hit 2 lizards, which I don't know if I'm allowed to do. Good games anyway, that was close, and I don't think my combat was very good. I'm sure I missed points during that whole thing, but that was cool. And that's AggroVine, I guess. In they come for 5, in the air, we die. Not sure about my play, but so it goes. Bink. We're dead. That was cool though. Okay, so that wraps up our league. The thing I was happy with out of this league is how we performed against Red Hot Phil in Raker shops. We had a bunch of oofs and we were able to grind through something of a proactive start from them. Yes, we got a miracle dismember off the top in one of the games, that sort of thing. That's going to happen, right? Vintage cards are swingy, so I think you can still accept that. I'm not saying the matchup's suddenly great, but I think I wanted to play that match, and it didn't seem as horrific against Raker as I was expecting it to. We beat Dredge, and Dredge I always find quite close with this list. I think I'm very favoured in the post-board games, but you can still get dredged, you know. But game 1 I find horrible and close to unwinnable, especially with this nonsense over Hex Drinker. And then the main downside of this deck is the Lurrus matchups just aren't winnable. Lurrus and Oath and Doomsday. Oath and Doomsday, you're just dead. You can just, you know, your opponent plays an Oath in game 1, you can just skip games 2 and 3 and grab a break from your tournament. Probably don't do that, but you know what I mean. And then the Lurrus matchups I haven't been able to solve. The idea of Allosaurus Shepherd was to try and fight through like a bunch of permission, make my collect roofs better, but I think this card's just bad. And it will be a Hex Drinker next time I'm out to play. But hey ho. So that was an AggroVine League. The deck's very fun. I would recommend giving it a go, but it's also pretty poorly positioned, I think is the best way to put it. So anyway, thanks for watching. See yous again.